Hello, my name is Claudia Salvador, and I am a volunteer with the Pan American Symphony Orchestra. I'm back again today to interview Diana LeGrand. She is the concertmaster for Paso. Diana, thank you for taking the time. All right, so just to start things off, for those who may not be aware, can you let the audience know what the role of a concertmaster is within an orchestra and what your role is within Paso?
Yes, so it's different for everybody, but for me, being a concertmaster is being a leader. It's also setting certain standards in terms of playing, showing up to rehearsal on time, and also making sure that I communicate what our conductor wants out of the music to everybody.
All right, and so how did you become a concertmaster within Paso in the first place? Were you playing first and then you were eventually became the concertmaster?
That's a funny story because I have never been very good at staying at the back of a section. I remember that my very first concert, they needed an extra violinist. And I said no, because I didn't want to play another normal classical concert. And they're like, no, we play Latin American music. And so I said, oh, okay, this I like, I'm going to go do. And I sat at the back of the first violin section. I was so happy. But typical loud, flamboyant violinist person that I am, I didn't stay back there very long. I think after literally a couple concerts, Maestro Sergio asked me to be their concertmaster, and I've been their concertmaster for the past 14 years.
Wow, that's great.
So,
how have you seen the orchestra shape itself over those 14 years?
Oh, when I first joined, it was a group of some professionals, some amateur musicians, and getting together, playing. And as our level got higher, our playing level, we started attracting more professionals, and we're still all friends, and we all get along really well, which is more than you can say for some orchestras. Some stand partners don't even talk to each other. But our group is just so close, so tight, and we travel together. We go to barbecues together. We hang out, and it's come a long way. And I mean, we sound good.
Definitely.
It's come a long way in the past 14 years since I've started. So,
all right. So what is, as far as violin, you've played it, it seems like for a very long time. Has that always been your instrument, or did it take you a while to find that as yours?
Oh, no. I really wasn't given a choice. I started playing violin when I was 2.5. And then when I decided I didn't really like it, I got sent to boarding school to play it. And not until I got sent away did I realize, okay, this isn't so bad. I kind of like playing the violin. And then I got all my degrees in violin performance, and I just never looked back. So, and then I was in my 20s when I discovered Paso, and I always loved this kind of music. And so I was just drawn to it. And it was just so different from the standard music that we classical violinists tend to play. So I've just stuck with it, and I love it.
Okay. So as far as your interactions with the orchestra during a performance, is that usually something that is more involved during rehearsals before you are on stage, or does that continue within the show itself?
Well, during the performance, there really shouldn't be any talking, but there is looking, eyebrows being raised, and maybe smiles. Well, now with COVID, we have masks on, so you don't see when we're actually smiling at each other. But normally, everything tries to get done in rehearsal, and so then we get to the performance, we get to enjoy everything that we worked for up until there.
Okay. So what is involved in terms of your role as a concertmaster, what are your tasks when it comes to, for example, indicating, the movement of the bow when you're playing?
So the music that Paso plays is still something I'm learning. I didn't grow up with it. The tango part I did in Italy, but not the classical Latin American music. And so I have to do a lot of listening. I ask the maestro to send me recordings if I can't find it on YouTube. And I very much listen for articulations, making sure that I stay true to what the composer intended. So my job is listen, make sure my bowings are exactly what the composer wants, and of course also our conductor. And then I share that with the group. Now, usually in a standard orchestra, the concertmaster, principal second, principal violist, and principal cellist get together and decide these articulations and bowings as a group. But Paso is special because we don't really do that. I mean, yes, we discuss bowings, but I am in charge of making sure the general articulations are there, because they are different kind of bowings. They are different kind of interpretations. We're not playing Beethoven. We're not playing Mahler. So it's very important that even if it's a weird bowing, that I make sure that it's appropriate for what we are playing. And so I tend to be a little more bossy, let's say, about that, about bowings and interpretation. And then if there's something that is not being conveyed the way the maestro wants, then he tells me and I will change it.
Okay. So you mentioned having been a bit familiar with tango before.
Yes.
And I think that your background, both in terms of your training and also yourself, is from Italy. And the tango originates from Buenos Aires, but of course heavily influenced from the Italians that were there. So I think that you have a very unique perspective in terms of the music that you play, being from Italy, playing this sort of music. What have you learned in terms of, being a part of Paso that plays Latin American music, including tango music? And also, what have you pulled from your own training in Italy and, of course, here in the States as well?
Well, tango is just pure emotion. And I have loved it ever since I can remember. In fact, I don't remember when I first started hearing it. All I knew is I wish I could play it. And which is interesting because in Italy, we don't really have, well, now we do, but when I was growing up, the only person who got to play tango was the accordion player. And, we would go to festivals during the summer and we would go dance and we'd go play. And that's as close as I ever got to tango. And when I came to the US, I thought I lost that. And instead, I was so happy when I found Paso, or when they found me, because they actually did find me, and reintroduced me. And Maestro Sergio's so great at arranging music that I'm lucky enough to play tango. Now, what I have learned is my background as a classical violinist, the technique that it's given me has enabled me to very much so learn and play tango. So unlike a lot of violinists from Argentina, I didn't get to start playing tango as, a 7-year-old. I started in my 20s, but it was always in my ear and it was always in here. Yeah. And I was just so desperate to be able to play that kind of music. And Maestro Sergio made it possible for me. And so I've just stuck with this group and, and I hope I will still get to stick with them a few more years. But definitely my training, my classical training, my technical training has helped me very much so play tango the way I would like to, and the way I hope even the Argentinians like, because that's important.
Independently from the conductor, from Maestro Sergio's musical vision, what initiatives can you take within a piece in terms of interpretation?
Well, as a performer, I try not to get too creative. That's the job of the composer. That's where I stand on that. Other people might think differently.
Sure.
But I really like to be true to what the composer wants. That's why I like to listen to the music and I like to ask questions. And if there is no music to be listened to, then I try to figure out where this composer was coming from. Because it's important that we all tell the right story, not something that we fantasize about in our heads because that's what we think the music should say. So every composer has their story and where they come from. And I think it's important as a performer, to convey that message. So that's how I feel about it. Now, do I get it wrong sometimes? Yes, of course. That's why we have the conductor to set the record straight. But generally speaking, I do my best to not get too creative with the ideas that the composer has already put out there for us. And a lot of the music that we play, some of our composers are still alive.
Yeah.
And that's great because then they can actually tell us what they like and what they don't like. And sometimes they encourage us to just be more creative. So, just everybody's a little different when it comes to interpretation and creativeness.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that orchestras tend to play music by composers who are not living right now. So the fact that Paso does focus also on living composers is already...
Yes, just our last concert. We played a piece, and the composer was watching along with everybody else. It was amazing.
Yeah, it is.
It's not 300 years dead.
So, what have been some of your favorite memories or highlights playing with this orchestra? Is there anything that has stood out to you over the years?
We have done some fantastic stuff. We played at the 2013 inauguration at the Kennedy Center. That was interesting, but it was so fun. We got to hang out with all these A-list celebrities. And I mean, I know it was about the president, but it was just the whole atmosphere, everybody that was there and wanting to pull this fabulous concert together. We travel. We've played down at the Presidential Palace in Peru for numerous presidents. And I mean, Paso has been so amazing with being able to go places and experience new things. I have to say, as just a classical violinist, I don't think I would have experienced some of these things unless I had a very specific job with, say, the Army Orchestra or, something of the sort. So, but with Paso, we have this flexibility of being able to do things that we want to do. And we make it happen, like going to Colombia and going to Lebanon. In our lifetime, I'm not sure if we'll ever get to necessarily go back to Lebanon, but Paso went, and it was amazing. And at least I have that in my memory. So, yeah.
Who has been your biggest musical influence?
Now, this might come a little left field since I'm a violinist, but Giuseppe Verdi. He is my utmost musical inspiration. He's been dead a long time, and he was an opera composer. And and it's not just because he's Italian, but I do find that opera encompasses all the great arts and puts it all together. And it's just fantastic. And Verdi, and the way he expresses his musicality through the note, it's spectacular.
Any favorite pieces that you would
La Traviata, La Traviata, sung by Beverly Sills, who is also long gone now, but one of the greatest sopranos ever.
Okay.
Not Italian either.
In light of the various groups that you've performed with over the years, what has been unique about your experience with Paso?
The repertoire. Believe it or not, in the United States, there is less than 7% of music being played from Latin America. And so just being able to play all this music that I didn't even know existed and adding that to all the Beethoven and Mozarts and Haydns and Handels and Corelli and just name it, it's been fantastic. I feel like my musical vocabulary has expanded, and it just makes you a better musician, better performer, better, just well-rounded, I think.
So what's your practice regimen like?
Well, when I was a student, let's put it that way, because it's different when you're out in the real world, I would practice 4 to 8 hours a day because you have lots of repertoire to learn, lots of it. But, as a wife and teacher and also performer, any minute that I get to pick up my violin and practice, I will take. So it's not every day from 12 to 4 anymore. It's, I have an hour here. Let me grab my violin and practice. Right. I have half an hour here. Let me do that. So, but I mean, I'm still playing, I would say, with the teaching included, probably 4 or 5 hours a day. But actual practice is very precious. So take advantage when you're still a student to do all that.
What advice can you offer to musicians who are in the audition circuit?
Well, this is a very unique time to be living in. So if we pretend COVID's not here, then I would say always study up on the orchestra that you plan on auditioning for, because sometimes it comes down to an interpretation, a phrasing. Also, always practice with your metronome, because conductors like that.
What projects are you working on at the moment?
So last month, we were supposed to go to El Salvador and stay a week and play concerts and teach master classes. But unfortunately, because of COVID, we have not been able to go anywhere. And so what we've decided instead is to record a concert for the conservatory in San Salvador and share our music that way. And then at some point, we'll schedule some Zoom master classes, and I'll get online with my broken Spanish, and I'll try to help some future violinists.
Is there a piece of Latin American classical music that you would suggest to the audience to check out if they're not familiar with this genre?
Well, I have to bring up the piece that was actually written for Paso and dedicated to Maestro Sergio, and by a composer who's still alive, Arturo Márquez, Danzón No. 7. That's a great symphonic work. And then another composer that is probably not very well known, who's actually from Argentina, who passed away a while ago, is Carlos Guastavino. And I recently discovered him. And I have to say, his melodies are very captivating and just beautiful. So I would suggest those two composers to check out.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. And thank you to everyone who joined.
Thank you.